Maybe you have heard a friend or relative brag about making $200,000 to $300,000 in profit after selling their flat. It makes sense. Singapore's property market has historically been strong and HDB flats have been part of that rise. But then you hear the government say something completely different. HDB flats are not meant for investments. This raises an important question. If people are making money selling HDB flats and the government is saying HDBs are not meant for investment but for owner occupation, then who's right? More importantly, if you are buying an HDB, should you be looking at it as an investment? Today, we are going to break this down. We will separate the facts from misconceptions, explain what you can and cannot do with an HDB, and most importantly, discuss how you can maximize your flat as a financial asset while staying within the rules. If you're planning to buy, sell, or even just better understand your HDB, this is the video you need to watch. Before we discuss whether an HDB is an investment, we first need to define what investing in property actually means. For most people, property investment revolves around two main concepts. The first is capital gains, which means buying low and selling high. The idea here is simple. You can buy a property at a certain price and over time, its value increases due to market demand, location advantages, or overall economic growth. When you sell the property later at a higher price, you profit from the difference. The second way people invest in property is through rental income. This is where you can buy a property and lease it out to tenants, generating passive incomes every month. Rental yield is important to investors because it provides a steady stream of cash flow while the property appreciates in value. These are the two main ways people make money from real estate. Now, let's see how HDB flats fit into this picture. One of the biggest factors affecting whether an HDB can be an investment is the minimum occupational period, or MOP. The MOP is the number of years you must live in your HDB before you're allowed to sell it or rent out the entire unit. For standard HDB flats, the MOP is 5 years. That means for the first 5 years, you cannot sell your flat or rent out the whole unit. You are allowed to rent out spare rooms if you are still living in the flat, but that's the extent of it. For Plus and Prime flats, the MOP is even longer at 10 years. Plus flats are in desirable locations with better amenities and connectivity, while Prime flats are in central areas where demand is the highest. Because these flats receive greater subsidies, the government enforces a longer MOP to ensure they remain owner-occupied for a longer period. This means that if you are thinking about selling your HDB for a profit, the first thing you need to consider is whether you are willing to wait out the MOP. During this time, your hands are tied and you cannot make a move in the property market unless you're willing to forfeit the flat entirely. Now that we know about the MOP, let's talk about what happens after it ends. Can you make money from your HDB, or is that just a thing of the past? Many people assume that HDB flats will always increase in value, but this is not always the case. While some Singaporeans have made substantial profits from selling their flats, this has more to do with timing and location than anything else. Historically, BTO flats have been a great way to build wealth because they are sold at a subsidized price. Unlike private properties, which are priced according to the market demand, BTO flats are deliberately made affordable for the first-time buyers. This means that by the time they reach the resale market after their MOP, their value tends to be significantly higher. For example, a 4-room BTO flat in Punggol that was launched at around 280,000 in 2010 could be selling for over 600,000 today. That's more than double the original price in just over a decade. If the owners had bought that flat, fulfilled the MOP, and then sold it, they could have walked away with a sizable profit. But before you assume that all HDB flats appreciate like this, let's take a look at the other side of the equation. While capital gains were a big part of the past success stories, the market today is different. Several key factors have changed how much you can profit from selling an HDB flat. The first is that the BTO prices have increased. Unlike in the past when flats were sold at a very low prices relative to their future resale value, today's BTO flats are priced much closer to market rates. This means that the margin for profit is lower compared to what earlier buyers experience. Another major factor is lease decay. HDB flats comes with a 99-year lease, and as a flat gets older, its value may decline. Buyers today are much more cautious when purchasing older resale flats, especially those with 60 years or less remaining on the lease. This makes it harder to see appreciation, especially in mature estates where resale flats are already expensive. Government policies also play a huge role. Over the years, the government has introduced cooling measures to maintain affordability and prevent excessive speculations. Loan restrictions, lower CPF usage for older flats, and stricter financing rules all affect resale demand. These policies limit price spikes, making it harder to achieve large capital gains like in the past. So while it is still possible to make a profit from selling an HDB flat, the conditions are very different from what they were years ago. The second way to make money from property is through rental income. Unfortunately, HDB flats are not designed to be rental investments. During the MOP, renting out the entire flat is not allowed. You can only rent out spare rooms while you continue to live in the unit. After MOP, the rules depend on the type of flats you own. If you own a standard HDB flat, you can rent out the entire unit. However, if you own a plus or prime flat, you are still not allowed to rent out the entire unit even after completing your MOP. This is because these flats receive greater subsidies and are intended to remain owner-occupied. Even though HDB flats are not traditionally investments, there are still ways to maximize their financial benefits. Choosing the right location is crucial. Flats in areas with strong future growth potential, such as upcoming MRT station or business districts, are more likely to see price appreciation. Another strategy is using an HDB as a stepping stone. Many Singaporeans follow the BTO to private property approach, where they buy a BTO at a subsidized price, live in it for the required MOP, and then sell it to upgrade to a larger HDB or private property. Renting out spare rooms can also provide additional income, though this is more of a supplement than a full-fledged investment strategy. Final thoughts. Is HDB an investment? HDB flats are not designed for speculative investment, but that doesn't mean they cannot be a financial asset. Whether an HDB makes you money depends on factors like timing, location, and government policies. The key is to approach it with a long-term perspective and realistic expectations. If you would like to find out more about how I've helped my clients make over 200,000 with their HDB, click the link around this video and join me for a free advisory sessions.